She got mocked the second she walked into Sapphire Lounge. They called her a nobody, dumped cocktails on her dress, shoved her off the VIP couch like she was unwanted trash. The manager and a pack of privileged patrons ganged up, laughing, betting she couldn't afford the water bill, let alone a table. None of them knew. The unassuming woman in the simple black dress owned the entire club. Until she stood under the crystal chandeliers, exposed the entire management team, and banned them all for life. Sapphire Lounge pulsed with the heartbeat of the city's elite. Its blue-lit dance floor, a stage for the wealthy and entitled where expensive champagne flowed like water and status, was measured in designer labels and VIP wristbands. The air was thick with perfume, ambition, and the clink of crystal glasses, every corner dripping with the arrogance of wealth. Olivia Morgan slipped through the velvet rope, a quiet figure in a classic black dress. No makeup, her well-worn ballet flats silent on the polished floor. She carried no purse, no entourage, no bodyguards, her plain face and unadorned presence, a stark contrast to the glittering crowd. The VIP section, cordoned off with silver chains, buzzed with finance executives, influencers, and trust fund heirs, their eyes raking over her with dismissive glances. Olivia's gaze, sharp and unyielding, scanned the club with the precision of a seasoned investor. But her unassuming demeanor made her invisible to the elite who ruled the night. The bartenders exchanged smirks. The DJ's beats became a mocking rhythm, and the crowd dismissed her as an intruder, a moth fluttering into their royal flame. Rebecca Winters, the floor manager, stood at the rope's edge, her sequined dress and artificial superiority a beacon of the club's toxic culture. To them, Olivia was a nobody, a blemish on their perfect night, and they were determined to crush her before she even reached the bar. As Olivia approached the bar to order a drink, a group of socialites, their diamond earrings glinting under the blue lights, blocked her path, their laughter a venomous curtain that silenced nearby chatter. A tall brunette in a velvet gown stepped forward, her voice a cutting drawl that carried across the club. "Oh look, the budget nobody thinks she can order a drink at our bar," she sneered, swirling her champagne flute. "That dress is so basic it's practically begging for a donation. Did you borrow it from a department store clearance rack? This is Sapphire Lounge where we sip Dom Perignon, not where you come to ask for tap water. Those flats look like they've walked through a disaster zone, and you're lowering the vibe just by standing here. Why don't you find your way back to whatever coffee shop you stumbled out of before you ruin our night?" The group cackled, some tossing cocktail napkins at her feet, their jeers a relentless barrage. Olivia stood calmly, her hands folded, her face a mask of stone, but the weight of their scorn pressed like a physical force, each word a calculated blow to her dignity. Unknown to them, the audience's anticipation surged, their hearts pounding at the orchestrated public shaming, the brunette's arrogance igniting their desire for Olivia's eventual response. The humiliation began at the velvet rope, where Rebecca Winters blocked Olivia's path. Her voice a venomous sneer that carried over the music. "Sorry, sweetheart, Sapphire Lounge doesn't allow ordinary people into VIP," she drawled, her manicured nails tapping the clipboard with disdain. "Who told you this was open for regular folk? That dress looks like it came from a mall. And those flats, I've seen better shoes at a discount store. This is the city's elite playground, not a cafe for average people who think they can blend in with the real players." The crowd nearby erupted in laughter, their champagne flutes raised as they leaned in, savoring the sport. Rebecca pressed on, the smirk cutting. "Honestly, it's almost sad you thought you could walk in here. Maybe try a chain restaurant. This club's for people who can actually afford the cover." Olivia stood motionless, her hands folded, her face an unreadable mask. Her silence a wall that only fueled their arrogance. In the VIP lounge's private booth area, a group of tech entrepreneurs, their bespoke suits reeking of new money, surrounded Olivia as she briefly paused to adjust her dress. A wiry CEO, with an expensive watch leaned in, his voice a mocking bellow that drew every eye in the section. "What's this? The invisible woman thinking she can loiter in our booth." He jeered, his whiskey glass raised to the crowd. "That dress is so plain it's practically screaming, 'I don't belong.' This is Sapphire Lounge, where we close million-dollar deals, not where you come to blend into the background. Those flats are an insult to our floor, and that face, it's begging for some attention. Get out before we have security escort you to the door where you belong." The executives rode, some flicking bottle caps at her, their taunts a storm that drowned the lounge's music. Olivia straightened her dress, her movements precise, her eyes unyielding as the booth became a stage for her degradation. The CEO's words were a public execution, each syllable a nail driven into her pride, the audience's fists clenching at the vicious elitist assault that mocked her presence. A pack of finance bros, their tailored suits reeking of privilege, joined the assault as Olivia stepped past the rope. One, a slick-haired trader with an expensive watch glinting, leaned in, his voice loud enough to draw a crowd. "Discount might, huh? You lost, sweetheart? Maybe someone let you in by mistake." He jeered, his friends roaring with laughter. "Look at her, no makeup, no jewelry, like she just walked in from the subway. This is Sapphire Lounge, not a public library for ordinary people who think they can crush our party. What's next? A paper bag for a purse? Go back to wherever you came from. This VIP section's for people with actual connections." The group clinked their glasses, their taunts a barrage that echoed through the club, some tossing olive picks at her feet. Olivia's dress swayed as she moved forward, her ballet flats silent, her silence a coiled spring, but the weight of their scorn pressed like a physical force. Each word a calculated blow to her pride. The influencer crowd escalated the torment, turning the dance floor into a stage for their malice. A woman draped in designer labels, her face perfectly contoured, sashayed toward Olivia, her voice a saccharine taunt that silenced nearby chatter. "Oops, darling. Guess your boring outfit needed a little sparkle," she purred, accidentally dumping a blue cocktail onto Olivia's dress, the liquid soaking through the black fabric. "You should thank me. That's the most expensive thing you'll wear tonight. This is Sapphire Lounge, where we live for glamour, not for sad little nobodies who think they can blend in with a dress that screams, 'I gave up.' Besides, why don't you scurry back to whatever discount store you crawled out of before you ruin our vibe?" The crowd roared, their phones capturing the stain, their laughter a storm that drowned the music. Olivia dabbed at the stain with a napkin, their movements precise, her eyes fixed on the floor, her silence a shield against their venom. During a high-profile toast, led by the club's celebrity DA, a group of fashion models, their gowns shimmering under the strobe light, spotted Olivia standing near the dance floor and turned the moment into a spectacle of cruelty. A statuesque blonde, her voice amplified by the DJ's microphone, addressed the crowd with a sneer. "Hold the toast. Everyone, looks like we've got a nobody in our midst," she mocked, pointing at Olivia. "That dress is so drab it's practically invisible. This is Sapphire Lounge, where we set the trends, not where you come to hide in the background. Those flats are a crime against fashion, and your whole vibe is screaming, 'I don't belong.' Why don't you slink back to whatever corner cafe you stumbled out of before you ruin our aesthetic?" The crowd roared, some tossing confetti at her, their laughter a tidal wave that drowned the music. Olivia stood still, her face impassive, her silence a fortress as the dance floor became a stage for her degradation. The model's words were a public crucifixion, and the audience's fury peaked at the orchestrated high-profile assault that branded Olivia an outcast. Rebecca Winters took the humiliation to a physical level, storming to the VIP couch where Olivia had briefly sat. "This isn't a public space, girl," she snapped, shoving Olivia off the velvet seat with a force that sent her stumbling into a table. "Security, get her out before the VIPs complain about the presence of mediocrity clinging to our club." That dress is an insult to our brand. And those flats, they're practically screaming, I don't belong. This is Sapphire Lounge, where we cater to the elite, not to average people who think they can sit with the important crowd. You're lowering the atmosphere just by breathing our air. The crowd cheered, their glasses raised as security guards closed in, their hands poised to drag Olivia out. Rebecca's smirk was a guillotine, her voice a whip that lashed at Olivia's presence. Olivia regained her balance, her face impassive, her silence louder than their jeers. But the weight of their cruelty was a tidal wave, the audience's rage boiling over at the violent public ejection that marked her as unwanted in their eyes. The daily operations of Sapphire Lounge were a showcase of elitism, but for Olivia, every moment was a gauntlet of scorn. A bartender, his bow tie crisp, refused to serve her, his voice a mocking whisper that carried to the nearby tables. No drinks for regular people, sweetheart. Our bottles are worth more than your entire outfit, he sneered, sliding a glass of water her way with a smirk. Maybe try the water fountain. It's more your speed. This club's for people who can afford the good stuff, not for nobodies who think they can sneak in for a free drink. The patrons laughed, some tossing coasters at her, their taunts a chorus that echoed through the blue haze. Olivia sipped the water, her movements deliberate, her eyes unyielding as the bar became a stage for her degradation. As Olivia navigated the crowded bar area, a group of investment bankers, their ties loosened and their egos inflated, cornered her near a high-top table, their laughter a venomous net that trapped her in their gaze. A red-faced banker with a platinum card in hand stepped forward, his voice a sneering roar that carried over the crowd. Well, look who's slumming. Our very own nobody trying to blend in with the big spenders, he taunted, waving his card. That dress is so basic it's practically screaming average. This is Sapphire Lounge, where we drop thousands on a bottle, not where you come to sip a free water. Those flats look like they've been through a storm, and you're dragging down our night just by existing. Get lost before we call security to escort your ordinary self out. The bankers cackled, some spilling their drinks in mock toasts, their taunts a relentless barrage. Olivia stood calmly, her hands folded, her face a mask of stone, but the weight of their words was a physical force. The audience's rage boiling over at the coordinated public mockery that aimed to crush her spirit. During a dance floor mingle, a group of influencers surrounded Olivia, their leader, a man with a velvet blazer and an expensive watch, leading in with a taunt that silenced the music. What's this? Budget nobody trying to dance with the big leagues. He jeered, his voice carrying over the crowd. That dress is so last century it's practically a museum piece. This is Sapphire Lounge, where we set trends, not where you come to embarrass yourself with shoes that look like they've been through a storm. Why don't you take your sad little act back to the street where you belong? The group closed in, their laughter a relentless barrage, some accidentally bumping into her, their elbows grazing her ribs. Olivia moved through the crowd, her ballet flats silent, her silence a defiance that went unnoticed, the audience's rage peaking at the coordinated public mockery that aimed to crush her spirit. During a VIP bottle service presentation where servers paraded sparkling champagne through the club, a group of real estate moguls, their cufflinks glinting, noticed Olivia standing nearby and turned the moment into a cruel spectacle. A silver-haired mogul, his voice booming over the cheers, addressed the crowd with a smirk. "Hold the bottles, folks. Looks like we've got a random person crushing our party," he jeered, pointing at Olivia. "That dress is so dull it's practically a cry for help. This is Sapphire Lounge, where we buy penthouses, not where you come to blend into the background. Those flats are an insult to our floors, and your whole look screams, I'm lost. Why don't you shuffle back to whatever ordinary place you crawled out of before you ruin our celebration?" The crowd roared, some tossing bottle corks at her, their laughter a storm that drowned the music. Olivia stood still, her face impassive, her silence a defiance that went unnoticed, as the parade became a stage for her degradation. The mogul's words were a public execution, the audience's fury erupting at the high-profile orchestrated assault that branded Olivia a nobody. The VIP section was a crucible of cruelty, where the elite gathered to flaunt their power. A hedge fund manager, his cufflinks glinting, stood to address the crowd, his voice booming over the DJ's beats. "Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for the audacity of this. Whatever she is," he sneered, pointing at Olivia walking into Sapphire Lounge like she belongs, with a dress that looks like it was bought off the rack and shoes that scream, "I'm ordinary." "This is our sanctuary, not a public space for average people who think they can rub elbows with us. Let's show her the door before she ruins our night." The crowd cheered, their glasses raised as the manager signaled for security, their hands poised to act. Olivia stood near the bar, her face calm, her silence a fortress, but the weight of their words was a physical force. The audience's fury erupting at the orchestrated public assault that branded her an outcast. The tension in Sapphire Lounge was suffocating as the crowd's anticipation of Olivia's ejection reached a fever pitch. Rebecca stood at the center of the dance floor, her arms crossed, her smirk a challenge. "You're done here, sweetheart," she said, her voice carrying over the music. "This club's for the elite, not for average people who think they can crush our party. Security's going to make sure you never set foot in here again, and we'll all have a good laugh when you're back on the street where you belong." The crowd chanted, "Get her out," their laughter a storm that drowned the blue haze. Olivia stood opposite her, black dress now stained, her silence louder than their jeers. Her stillness a promise they were too blind to see, the audience craving her retaliation with every fiber of their being. The moment security's hands grazed Olivia's arms, the front doors of Sapphire Lounge swung open with a thunderous creak, and the room turned ice cold. Alexander Wright, billionaire CEO of Wright Holdings, strode in, his tailored suit a stark contrast to the chaos, flanked by his inner circle of high-powered executives. His voice sliced through the music like a blade, each word a verdict that silenced the crowd. "Who dared disrespect the owner of Sapphire Lounge?" he demanded, his eyes sweeping the room, landing on Rebecca's ashen face. The crowd froze, their glasses slipping, their laughter choking into a funeral hush. Rebecca stammered, her clipboard trembling as the finance bros shrank back, their watches now pathetic relics. The influencer's martini glass hit the floor, shattering, her designer labels meaningless against the weight of Alexander's words. Olivia let out a breathless, cold laugh, her voice quiet but resonant, each syllable a guillotine. Olivia Morgan Wright, co-founder of Wright Morgan Ventures. "I own Sapphire Lounge, Azure Club, Obsidian, Moonlight, and over 50 nightlife brands across the country and Europe," she said, her eyes locking on Rebecca's. "I came unannounced tonight, and you failed harder than I ever imagined." The crowd gasped, their whispers a tide of disbelief as the truth of Olivia's power hit like a sledgehammer. As Olivia's revelation echoed through Sapphire Lounge, she stepped onto the elevated DJ platform, her stained dress a stark contrast to the blue glow. Her voice a chilling calm that froze the crowd. "You drank my wine, danced on my floor, and thought you could spit in my face," she said, her eyes sweeping the room, each word a verdict. "Now you'll face the consequences." She signaled to the staff, who distributed glasses of water to the antagonists, a symbolic demand to purge their excesses. The crowd watched, stunned, as Rebecca and the influencers hesitated, then drank, their faces twisting in shame, the act of public admission of their behavior. Olivia's tablet glowed as she added their names to the ban list, the LED wall updating in real time, their disgrace broadcast to all. "I am Olivia Morgan Wright, and this is my empire," she declared, her identity a thunderclap that shattered their arrogance. The press scribbled furiously, their headlines framing her as a titan. The audience roaring with satisfaction as the antagonist's shame was laid bare, their pride crushed under her command. Olivia stepped to the center of the dance floor, her scuffed ballet flats a stark contrast to the polished floor, her stained dress now a badge of her endurance. She pulled a tablet from her bag, its screen glowing as she tapped it with a single deliberate finger. Effective immediately, the entire Sapphire Lounge management staff is terminated, she declared, her voice a quiet thunder that silenced the club. The LED wall behind her lit up, displaying the names of every person who'd insulted her. Rebecca Winters, the finance bros, the influencer, each one now on a banned guest list for every venue under Wright Morgan Holdings. Olivia turned to the hedge fund manager who'd led the toast against her, her gaze a laser that pinned him to the wall. "You thought your cufflinks made you king," she said, her voice low but resonant, each word a guillotine. "Drink the water or security will ensure you never taste my wine again." The manager, his face ashen, complied, his trembling hands spilling the water, the act a public confession of his excess. The crowd gasping as he choked on his shame. Olivia tapped her tablet, banning him from every Wright Morgan venue, the LED wall glowing with his name in red. "I built this club while you were toasting to your ego," she said, her identity as co-founder a terror that obliterated his status. The press captured the moment, framing Olivia as a force of nature, her power a nightmare for the elite. The audience's satisfaction soared as the manager's arrogance was laid bare, his pride crushed under her command, his legacy erased by the woman he'd mocked. Rebecca tried to salvage her pride, stepping forward with a forced laugh. "This is a mistake, Ms. Wright. Let's not get carried away," she stammered, her sequin dress dull under the blue lights. "I was just doing my job, keeping the regular people out." Olivia cut her off, her voice a guillotine. "Your job was to uphold my club's standards, Rebecca, and you turned it into a playground for bullies. You're not just fired. You're blacklisted from every nightlife venue I own. And that's a list longer than your resume. 9 seconds. That's how long it took for you to ruin your career. Maybe you should stick to posting selfies. It's the only thing you're good at." The crowd gasped, some stifling laughs as Rebecca's face burned, her authority shattered in front of her own staff. Olivia faced the bartender who'd refused her service, their voice a chilling calm that froze the club. "You thought denying me a drink made you powerful," she said, stepping closer, her ballet flat silent. "Take the water and drink deep. Your arrogance is poison, and I'll see it purged." The bartender, his bow tie askew, drank, his face twisting as the crowd watched, the act a public admission of his cruelty, his hands shaking under her stare. Olivia's tablet flashed as she added his name to the ban list, the LED wall updating with a flicker, his career obliterated in front of his peers. "I am Olivia Morgan Wright, and I own the very ground you stand on," she declared, her identity a thunderbolt that shattered his pride. The press documented the moment, their headlines crowning Olivia a queen, the audience's hearts pounding with pride as the bartender's shame was laid bare, his ego crushed under her command. The patrons who'd cheered him now averted their eyes, their arrogance buried under the weight of her empire. The finance bros, once her tormentors, stood frozen, their watches useless, their bravado gone. Olivia faced the slick-haired trader who'd mocked her, her eyes locking on his expensive watch. "You thought your money made you untouchable," she said, her voice low but piercing. "Step into my club again, and you'll find your accounts frozen, your name erased from every guest list I control." He shrank back, his friends silent, their wealth meaningless against her empire. Olivia tapped her tablet, adding their names to the ban list, the LED wall updating in real time, their humiliation broadcast to the crowd. The press captured every second, their headlines framing Olivia as a queen, the audience reveling in the trader's public disgrace. The influencer, her designer labels now a mockery, tried to slip away, but Olivia's voice stopped her cold. "You thought a cocktail stain could break me," she said, stepping closer, her ballet flat silent. "I've built empires while you were building your follow account, and I'll bury your career without lifting a finger." She gestured to the LED wall, where the influencer's name glowed red, her lifetime ban a permanent mark. Olivia paused at the club's main bar, her stained dress a testament to her endurance, and addressed the remaining staff, her voice carrying over the silenced music. "You served their drinks, enabled their cruelty, and thought you were untouchable," she said, her eyes sweeping the bar, each word a verdict. "Drink the water or join them in exile." The staff, trembling, complied, their faces twisting as they drank, the act of public confession of their complicity. The crowd gasping as their shame was exposed. Olivia's tablet glowed as she terminated their contracts, the LED wall listing their names, their careers erased in real time. "I am Olivia Morgan Wright, and my empire has no place for your kind," she declared, her identity a beacon that rewrote the club's future. The press captured every second, their report spreading Olivia's dominance across the nightlife world. The audience cheering as the staff's pride was crushed by her command. The patrons who'd laughed at her stood silent, their status nullified by her hand, their club now a monument to her power. The fart was seismic. Olivia exited Sapphire Lounge with Alexander Wright, her black dress a symbol of untouchable mastery, leaving behind a crowd that once dared to call her a nobody. By morning, the nightlife industry was ablaze with the story, the ban list trending across social media, hashtags like #TheInvisibleOwner surging nationwide. Sapphire Lounge's reputation tanked, its elite status a punchline in every club from coast to coast. Outside Sapphire Lounge, as Olivia stepped into the night with Alexander Wright, a crowd of industry insiders and patrons, drawn by the news, gathered to pay respects, their eyes wide with awe. "You're the invisible owner," one said, offering a nod. But Olivia shook her head, her voice steady. "I don't need your nods. I need you to run your clubs with integrity, respect your guests, and never let the venue become a stage for bullies." She handed a glass of water to a passing patron who'd mocked her, her gesture a silent command to purge their excess, the patron drinking under her stare, his face twisting in shame. The press, trailing her, broadcast the moment, framing her as nightlife's new moral compass. Rebecca and her cronies, watching from the club's windows, saw their world shift, their elitism buried by Olivia's power. Olivia's identity as a titan was a revelation, her lesson a beacon that rewrote the city's nightlife. The audience's hearts pounding with pride as the antagonist's shame went viral. Rebecca's career was obliterated, her name blacklisted, her sequin dress a relic of her failure. The finance bros were shunned, their invitations to exclusive events vanishing, their wealth no match for Olivia's reach. The influencer's follower count plummeted, her online clout drowned in comments calling her out. Olivia's name echoed in every nightlife venue, her plainness now a myth, her empire a legend that rewrote the rules of the night. The audience's satisfaction complete as the antagonist's world collapsed. Olivia didn't return to Sapphire Lounge. Her point was made, her power undeniable. The press uncovered her past, co-founder of Wright Morgan Ventures, a titan who'd built a nightlife empire from the ground up, her wealth and influence hidden behind a quiet demeanor. They called her the invisible owner, her black dress and ballet flats now symbols of untouchable authority. Other clubs sent her invitations, begging for partnerships, but she declined, her silence as powerful as her commands. The patrons who'd mocked her were left to grapple with their shame, their status erased, their clout a fading echo. Olivia's victory wasn't just determination. It was a lesson etched into the city's nightlife, a reminder that the plainest woman could wield the deadliest power. The audience's hearts pounding with pride. Sapphire Lounge's culture of elitism crumbled. New management was installed, their respect for Olivia absolute, their eyes on the dance floor where she'd redefined power. The club's blue lights, once a backdrop for privilege, now reflected its failure, the memory of Olivia's command a shadow over every night. Rebecca was forced to publicly apologize in front of the staff, her voice shaking as she admitted her mistake, the footage spreading online to further her humiliation. The banned guests were shunned, their names erased from every guest list, their status a relic of their downfall. Olivia's empire grew, her venues thriving, her influence a beacon for every underdog who'd been laughed out of the VIP section, the audience cheering her triumph as a testament to true strength. In the weeks that followed, Olivia's name became a mantra in the city's nightlife, her story a cautionary tale for every entitled patron. The patrons who chanted for her ejection were ostracized, their reputations tarnished, their wealth meaningless against her reach. Sapphire Lounge's bookings plummeted, sponsors pulling out, its motto now a hollow boast. Olivia was spotted at a charity event, her black dress understated, her presence a quiet storm that commanded every room. She didn't need their lights, their champagne, or their approval. She'd come to test them, and they'd failed. That arrogance crushed in 9 seconds. The invisible owner had no need for their world. She'd already conquered it. The audience screaming her name, their satisfaction a roar that echoed beyond the club. Olivia Morgan didn't need to scream. She didn't need to fight back. She simply let them destroy themselves, and then walked them off her dance floor. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and become a part of our Everyday Life Stories community, where we celebrate quiet strength, real struggles, and unexpected victories. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment below. We love hearing from our amazing viewers around the world.